Alright, well, it just dawned on me that I've never done a video of like the actual property, just kind of what we were doing on the property. Um, and it's not a super hot day as it's been for a while, so I figured I would, make something sort of like just like a walkthrough. So no one wants to see my ugly mug. Hold on. So this is the beginning of the property. That's our pretty much the property line. Um, when we first bought the place, you couldn't drive, you couldn't walk up here. All this was overgrown completely, like everything. And even where you're seeing these puddles right here, it was a complete mud pit. I'm talking about, anywhere from a foot to 18 inches of mud every time it rained. Like you'd get bogged out and be stuck in this area. So like we did a lot. I scooped, there's underneath that, the weeds that are growing there's big piles. There's a few of them across here. That all came from just, scraping the road. They're kind of all over the place. I just kind of just going with it. The drainage wasn't real good at all. So when everything would rain around here, the everything is kind of, it slopes down this way and then it goes down a hill. Real big hill, goes all the way down, and just past there is a road and then the river. And there's a drainage system that's down there, and it kind of always wanted to head in that way, but because this was never really taken care of, that's our dog Mickey. Because it was never really taken care of for a long time, it just kind of pulled all up in here. So there's no joke. I mean, I know it looks a little muddy right now, but this is a vast improvement on what it was like. Honestly, you'd get stuck. If you had a car, you weren't getting out. And it was completely like overgrown. Like I widened it probably 3 times as wide as you had access to in the first place. That's our power line. It's adjacent. We own most of that power line as far as property line, but get to that in 1 second. So what I did was, this is where the lowest point was. I'm sure you can see, because that's actually where the water wants to pool even now, even when it has a little drainage. So I dug that down a little further, and then over to here where I dug this ditch. Now eventually there's going to be a pipe. There's actually a piece of it off in the distance there that we're going to be using. I have a few of those. It's 12 inches around. It's going to be under the ground. So it's going to go across the road, actually sort of in a French drain style, holes in the top and then gravel on top of that so that it can catch it, so it doesn't have any place to pull, and then come across here into this ditch, which is pretty deep. You might not be able to tell from the camera, but it's deep. And right now that's where the water's running, just to get it away. And it's going down pretty much into this area. From what I can tell, when there was houses here a long time ago, this used to actually be again, from what I can tell, is where they probably dumped their garbage. If you look close, like there's glass everywhere. A lot of really old stuff too. Some new stuff. I imagine there's probably some people that were up here drinking and pitching their beer bottles and whatever around. But the glass isn't biodegrading like the other stuff was. So it's still here. And I've dug down pretty far, and I just keep coming up with more and more glass, rock. So it's starting to become pretty evident that it used to, I doubt they just put glass here. So there's probably a good chance that this was garbage, and the other stuff, biodegraded in some way, or whatever the case is. Anyway, what we're going to do to it is clean it up a lot better than what it is. Get as much of that glass out of there as possible, and sort of make this into another pond area. I think it's beneficial to have, some kind of a water source, even if all it is a pond. for the worst case scenario, because you know, if you really need something, you know, so water to plants, there's a drought, you know, whatever. I mean, even pond water you can purify if you absolutely have to drink it. Obviously not optimal, but you know, uh, yeah, that's. I mean, why not, right? I mean, it's coming down here from where I'm directing it from the road. If not, it would gather on the road, and it's going to come down here. So we have these giant stones that are down on a property that is sort of down in the driveway. What I'm going to do is put a few of them across here to kind of dam it up. So around in here somewhere, whatever works, you know, we'll find a way to, you know, I'd say maybe be 5-6 feet high, and they're massive. They're really, really big stones. Like they're not going anywhere. If I get a chance, I'll get a picture of them and stuff, but and use them to dam it up and get that little pond area going. I mean, this place is kind of a mess, to tell you the truth. I mean, look at this. You know, glass everywhere. I had my backhoe down here. I kind of had to make, you can see those stones and cement block and stuff like that. They were already all here. I kind of laid them out to make myself a path, you know, to get up and down with it, so that I can, you know, get over here to dig this out. Which is, you know, funny story, but not funny story is actually I dumped it on its side right here. Rookie mistake. I thought I could just, you know, make my way down the hill with it. Didn't realize how top heavy it was. Again, you know, it sounds stupid, but there's a rookie mistake. But all that ground right there, as I started to come down, shifted as I was just starting to come down it. So it just started to slide. Like I'm on the backhoe and I'm watching, you know, all the dirt underneath me just kind of shift that way underneath it. And the good part about it is that there was not any kind of real damage. It just kind of, everything just kind of slid, and the tractor, you know, tractor's going like this. It just kind of slid and then went bing, and then fell on its side right here. And the crazy part is, and again, no real experience with this, is it laid there after I pulled the key to turn it off because it was still trying to run, and it just kept running. And I found out from talking to the service guy that, you know, because it's a diesel engine, which again, it might sound silly to some people listening to this. I don't know this stuff. I'm a city kid. I'm jumping in with both feet. I have no idea about diesel engines or backhoes or any of that stuff. I can't stress it enough that, like, learning on the fly. So when it fell, it just kept going. I turned it off. I turned the key. I pulled it out. I backed away, and it just kept running and running and running. I mean, the key's pulled out of it. So I'm like shaking my head, and it's getting louder. And now all this smoke is spewing out. So, you know, fun fact is that diesel engines will run on motor oil. And what happened is the motor oil, when it flipped on its side, went from where it was supposed to be to the engine, like where the fuel combust. It was in there and it was pouring into it. So it just kept getting fuel, and it just kept running. It didn't need to be on. It just kept running and running and running, which was amazing to see, but like scary, because you don't know what the hell's going to happen. You know, it's just running wide open. Like, I mean, all the fuel you could give it, and it just kept going. So needless to say, it was quite an adventure. It was something we'll never repeat for sure, because I learned that the hard way. But there was oil all over the place. It wasn't even burning all of it. The crazy part is the minimal amount of damage that actually happened. Them machines are very solid machines. I mean, they'd have to be. It laid on its side and burnt all the motor oil out of it without any fuel, like diesel fuel, until it ran out. And then it puttered out, and it laid on its side. And then I kind of, you know, I picked it up. I hooked a chain up to it, and I grabbed the 4Runner and I pulled it that way. And I kind of had it. I wanted to get it up, straight up and down. I was going to attempt to pull it up. But you know, I didn't want to. It's a big machine. So once I got it sort of up and down, I kind of just propped it up with 4 or 8 foot 4x4s. You know, just kind of pushing it up in that direction, just to, you know, almost get it on its wheels. And then I called the place I got it from, and you know, another not funny but funny situation is that I only had it for a week, and I called them back and I said that I dumped it. Now, like I said, the place I got it from is great. They're great people, so they went out of their way to come out here and pick it up. And this hill, I'm telling you, the guy, I think I have some video of the guy. You know, there's something to be said about them old school dudes. He wasn't taking no for an answer. This hill, this driveway has had a lot of work to it. And so anybody with not enough experience, big trucks, little cars, even trucks that you should think would be able to make it up here, if they don't have experience with it or they're scared of it, see, this looks fine. We get down a little bit farther, it gets a little rough, but I've straightened a lot of it up. Like this, you know, there was big ruts in the road, there were trees. I mean, I spent days just cleaning up the road. But I'm saying all that because the people were afraid to drive up that hill, which goes down pretty far, but they were afraid to drive up it. So I didn't know how I was going to get this thing out of here, or even up on the road, you know, at this point. So again, I give the guy a lot of props, because he looked at me and said, "We're going up this hill," and I said, "Okay." He had a flatbed. That's what, you know, big flatbed you put cars on. He's like, he gave it a shot a couple of times, and the ground was kind of wet, so he didn't want to keep trying to burn up the driveway trying to get it up. He said, "Do you got a chain?" And I said, "Yeah, I got a chain." He said, "Why don't you hook up your 4Runner to the front end and give it a pull, and we'll go up that hill." And I looked at him like he was crazy. And, you know, like, thank God he might have been a little bit, because that machine might still be over there. But we got it up here. Like, I pulled him up with the 4Runner. I got the flatbed up here, and then he got the machine on the flatbed and got it back to the shop to get it fixed. And the crazy part is there's only one small thing that was wrong with it, other than a few minor scratches for everything that it didn't fall hard, but you know, the way it opened up and burned all that oil, I would have thought there would have been more wrong. But there's a thing that's called the hell's the name of it? It's the thing that ignites the diesel. I can't remember the name of it, but that was the one thing that burnt out, and it's probably a good thing that it did, or else who knows how long it would have ran. I wish I could remember the name. Anyway, that was the thing that burnt out, was the thing that actually ignites the fuel. I imagine it burnt out because it was burning motor oil. So that burnt out, and then it stopped working, and that was the only thing that needed replaced. That's it, just that. You know, they kind of cleaned it up a little bit, gave it back to me a week later, and I'm like, you know, talking to the people that are like, you would have thought it was the most catastrophic thing that would have happened too, because they don't know anything about what happened. When you say you roll a tractor, they want to know if anyone died. Honestly. But what I'll do is I'll put in a quick clip, because I think I have one of the guy picking it up right here. So, yeah, good guy, old guy. You know, he wasn't taking no for an answer. Now, the whole reason for this video, before I went off onto that, was I just wanted to show everyone around, right? So, this is the power line that's adjacent to the property. We kind of own a fair amount of it, but, you know, it's a right-of-way for them. So, we're going to probably put maybe a pumpkin patch halfway all the way down next year. I got some corn and watermelons growing in there right now. I take the brush hog out and knock this down every few weeks. The deer are out here a lot. They really hang out up in here a lot, right up in that brush. They'll bed in there, you won't even know they're there. And then they walk that power line all the way down. So I decided to get myself a little tree stand. Yeah, I could do a whole video about that, but you know, That tree stand's really well built. It's up there though, you know, because there's a grade down here. It goes up a few feet, you know, it goes up a few feet right here and then kind of levels off back there and then it goes up. But from down here, it's a good 40, 50 feet in the air from on the ground. But, you know, for deer hunting season, get them with the crossbow pretty easy from up there. So anyway, that was the entrance down there. That's where we're gonna put the pond eventually, where we had the little tractor spill. This is the road that goes all the way down the property. I decided to put my own street sign up there. Pretty cool, right? Uncle Jeff decided he wanted to get one for his place too, so now there's two of those that exist. This is the road that comes down here. That is for the tractor and all the wood. Now, all the videos I did, there's a few of them I didn't do, but I'm milling a lot of my own lumber. You know, headers, that's going to be a support beam, 4x4s, and then I already have a whole bunch of the lumber before all this madness started. There's a ton of 2x4s over there, and there's a bunch of wood underneath here, and underneath that tarp is all plywood. So I got lucky that I knew what was going to happen with the lumber prices long before this. Everyone said I was crazy whenever I said it was going to go up, but I bought all that stuff last year before it got crazy, and with any luck some of it will come back down to at least be a reasonable price, but I don't think we're going to see prices as good as they were before for a very long time. So I got lucky in that aspect. And you know, this just to add on the that carport, I got that on a pretty good deal. I mean, I got it delivered for less than $1,500 on Amazon. I put 2 railroad ties stacked on top of each other, and those anchored to the ground, and mortar in between them on both sides to give it some extra height, because I really wanted to make sure it wasn't too low, you know, especially for like the, you know, the tractor. And it's worked out. I mean, it's been really, really windy up here, and it hasn't moved a bit. So yeah, that's a good thing, you know. I'm gonna eventually close this in. Like, I'm gonna actually put probably, you know, a set of doors, get some metal for the walls and in the back, maybe even something smaller beside it for the quad. So yeah, that's that part of it, and I thought I would just add that to it. You know, take that for whatever you want. But road goes all the way down to the other end of the property. There's almost basically a cliff down there. Where we're at is basically, you could call it a hilltop. It's more of like a mountaintop. And what they did is there's an expressway on one side and then a highway on the other side, and they kind of just carved it out. So like this sits up really high compared to that. So it's really secluded, but when you go all the way down, it's almost like a cliff. Like when you get to the end, it's a steep, quick drop off from where they cut out the road and put in all that stuff, which, you know, there used to be a lot of houses up here. There used to be a lot of, from what I understand, some pretty wealthy people lived up here. I'm still finding, like, you know, remnants of things. As a matter of fact, there's an old gas line that I found when I was digging for a leach bed right there. Obviously it's not on, but it's there. So I mean, like, these houses were here. Now, I didn't want to make this too long of a video. However, someone did tell me that I should make longer videos, so I thought this walkthrough could, you know, be beneficial. So like I said, you know, power line all the way down. That's actually the tree. There was a giant tree here from that stump. I did a video about when I carved Farmstead into that stump. It went at least 100 feet up, higher than that. I think that's a birch tree that's there. And we dropped it. That's sort of the remnants of it. There's 2 logs that are down there, pine. They're massive. I may do something as far as milling with them. I'm not sure. They're just huge. They're massive as hell. This is some of the pieces from the milling I did with some of the stuff that was there, and then that's the piece of pine that's left that I gotta finish to clean up. But with so much going on, this is kind of out of the way, so I just kind of left it there for now. But we'll get to that. It'll be gone at some point soon. And then, so you have to imagine that none of this was not even remotely here, like nothing. There was all trees and brush, poison ivy. It's sort of, I mean, if you can see what that looks like, right? I mean, it's thick, right? You know, you can't even walk through that. And there's some early videos of this before everything was green. Over there is the chicken coop I built. You know, obviously that wasn't there either, but this whole area looked like that. Like, you're not getting through that. I mean, you could if you really wanted to, but good luck. Ticks and poison ivy and stuff. That's what all of this looked like around here. Like, this little driveway thing was not here. This is all put in by me. This was, see, these are brushes like from the front of a house, right? But they have just been growing wild for so long. They're up there now, you know, like they're massive bushes. And they went from that end down there where the carport is all the way up to here, solid. I mean, it was, again, solid. You know what I mean? Like, it was just all very, very thick, very tall. And then just beyond that was, you know, all the really fun stuff, like the poison ivy and the jagger bushes and thorns and all that. So, me and my wife, us 2 alone, and I had some help from here to here to there, which I'm extremely grateful for. But you know, we basically did a lot of this just ourselves, by hand. Again, you know, people were afraid to drive their big vehicles up here with machinery, so, you know, we're on our own. Anyway, that little loop around right here was something that I added because our little building is going to be here. It's underneath the tarps right now because, you know, rain and weather and stuff, and some of the concrete's still drying. I'm actually going to get to pouring the rest of that very soon. Today's the last day for rain for a while, so we're going to get to that. We'll get the pad poured, and then we're going to start the block wall. But that's where there'll be more of that to come. I actually think that's going to work out to be very nice. 2-story. There'll be a block wall about 8-9 feet high, and then above that is just going to be sort of a big loft area. And inside of the block, that's where your, you know, utility stuff is going to be. That's where the wood burner is going to be. That's where the little cleanup sink and the electric panel and all that stuff is going to be. And then above it, 2nd story, a big loft with a small deck sticking out of the front for the view, you know. When those trees are not that green, you can see all, it's a pretty nice view, but there's the Allegheny River's down there. Probably next season is when I'll get to the point where I'm starting to lop the top of some of them down, just because it's just going to be so nice of a view, especially in the summertime. But for now, that's you know, 2nd story view. You can look over the Allegheny River. It should be pretty nice whenever it's all said and done. We actually got that camper from my wife's aunt and uncle. They gave it to us, which was great, because now we have sort of a shelter, you know, something that we spent a couple nights up here, so you can do, that's obviously good for that. And then, you know, if it starts raining, or if you want to go inside to eat, or, you know, any of that stuff, it's just another thing I'm grateful for, that we have put a lot of good use into. The pond, I did a video about the pond. That's actually starting to clean itself up. Fruit trees, raised bed gardens. One of them is full. The other one we haven't got the truckload of dirt for yet. So, we're getting there. A little bit at a time. Anyway, the road. So the road goes around and out. So that when you drive in, especially because, we're gonna be using the trailers and stuff like that, you don't have to come in and sort of back around, So you come up that road, turn in, go around, you come out onto that road, and then that way you can go back out without having to do a whole bunch of 3-point turns and all that. Surprisingly enough, when we first started this was the area that it had the least amount of bushes. Don't ask me how these survived here. I don't, just never had no reason to take them out, so now they're there. So that, like I said, it went all the way across, right? Well, when we first started, when I first bought the land, this is completely covered, like I had shown before, with just brush, bush, hedges, everything. But right here, there was sort of this, opening, and that's where we started. That's where we started day one. It was right here. We just sort of worked our way in, started whacking down all the trees that were in the way. This was a massive tree, which is going to be a project I might even start on today, is getting the roots in the trunk out of there. But that was like a double tree. I think that's actually the tree that I used to make the big headers out of. Anyway, we started coming in this way, cleaning everything out. And again, the old remnants from the old places that were there. There was a huge tree that was planted right in the middle of this ring, concrete ring. Still don't know what exactly. I guess it's some kind of planter or something from back in the day. I don't really know. Goes all the way around, full circle, all the way around. Some of it's still in the ground, obviously a little bit, but you could see it goes all the way around. And then right in the middle was this huge tree that was dead. It was massive. It was, I believe it was this one. If you could see, it was kind of split and cracking, right in the middle of this tree. And when it fell, it fell. I got a video of it. It's in the one video that says dropping trees. It's the last one I cut down. It's huge. It falls down. So we couldn't have it. We couldn't have it there. It was going to fall eventually at some point, probably some point soon. So that's where we kind of just decided to make the fire pit in the ring. Another just kind of happened. So, we started in over there and just started cutting and taking out all the bushes and taking down all the weeds. And it was wintertime too, which made it good and bad in some ways. Good in the way that there wasn't so much green and bugs and all that stuff, but bad because it was cold. You get a lot of wind coming up off of the water. It gets windy. Anyway, we had to do something with the stump that was in the ground, so I just started burning on there. Now the stump's kind of burnt out, and we just every time we need to burn, we just keep throwing more and more, and I think that's probably where the fire pit's going to stay. I don't see no reason to move it. So the fire pit's over there. This is just kind of the quick walkthrough video I thought I would do. If anybody at all even cares about, when I started making these videos, it was only about to record stuff from my sons, and now my daughter's on the way, so that they knew what we did. Now they can go back. They actually watch the videos now. They watch me cut down trees. They have their own little toy chainsaws now. So, that's the whole reason for it. Now, if other people follow along, that'd be great. If not, it's just a way to document our whole process. Now, the chicken coop was the first thing that I kind of built up here, because we had the chickens in our backyard. We only had 4 of them, and they were cool, but they wanted to go wander. So we got them up here as soon as we could. and I got them their little protection. We lost a couple of chickens to, I believe it was raccoons. We trapped them, released them a few miles away from here. They pulled them right through. The chickens weren't going inside at night. That's what there's a little. The chickens weren't going inside at night. So they were like sleeping out in here, and one of them or two of them had been like in this corner. And raccoons pulled those chickens right through here. It was a mess out here. Like there was blood and chicken all over the place. But anyway, those are problems we're solving along the way, right? But this is the chicken coop I built, and you know, when I built this, a lot of it was building around material that I already had. So I had a bunch of womanized 4x4s that I got for free. They were used. They came off of some kind of swing that somebody had in the yard. So, you know, that's what those are. There's all those 4x4s. And then the roof, or the metal roofing that's around the outside, 90% of that came from extra pieces from my roof on my house. So I had a lot of the stuff, and that's why I decided to build it in this way. And to tell you the truth, that door was the old front door to my house. My house has had a lot of work on it done too, but that door was the front door of the house, and it had been sitting in like the storage spot under the steps for a while, and I just decided to use it. So we'll just goats and hoes. So the way I set it up was, this is where they lay their eggs, in here. That way I can just open it up and pull them out. And then I built a little area in between where I kind of keep their food. We got to get a galvanized garbage can for here, but this is where we kind of just keep their food and keep it away from them. That's what this door is. So they perch up there, keeps them away from everything, and then that's their little door to get outside. Right over there in the corner is, you can see a hinge right there under all that mess. There's a trap door underneath that. When you pull that trap door up, that's where you can like push all the mess out. So you're not physically like having to like shovel it if you don't want to underneath the building, because there's room. It'll fall right there, but we kind of put it into the, the box under there. That way you can trap it from that, and just pull the box out and dump it in the compost pile. So yeah, I mean, again, like I said, I mean, this is just kind of a quick run through of the place. I don't think I've ever actually shown much of anything except for the projects we were working on. So, I mean, that's it for now. We still got a lot to do, but we've also come a long way. Anybody has any questions, ask in the comments section. I always respond whenever somebody asks. And have a good day.